She was a friend. I was trying to help her out. I didn't want her to lose her job. She just getting back on her feet. I know it was a big risk. I know that. It was a risk that
and now look at you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
She has a counterclaim against you.
Oh, yeah, I heard about it. So it just teach me a lesson.
This is the plaintiff, Pamela Smith. She says she rented a car for the defendant, and somehow she blacked out while driving, crashed, and now won't pay her for the repairs. Some people. She's suing for $5,000, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Tanya Holland. She says her paycheck is being garnished $100 a week to pay off the rental car's $11,000 in damages. The plaintiff is suing her for money the rental company charged her. The plaintiff's name was on the car, and she should have taken insurance out on it. She's accused of being a bad driver. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $5,000 for half of the damages to the rental car.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Ms. Smith, tell me what happened between you and Ms. Holland.
Miss Holland was a friend of mine. Her and my brother used to date. She was needed some help with some things. At the time, she was staying with her mom. I offered her a room to rent in one of my apartments. And one day, as her car was parked out in front of the house, a bus came by and side-scraped her. Later on, she told me that the mechanic said he needed to keep the car for that week, so she wasn't going to have no transportation to work. So she had texted me and asked me, did I feel comfortable renting a car for her? So I told her, well, why she can't be a second driver? And she said, because they don't take debit cards. Anyhow, I went, so she looked up a car online, sent me the reservation. So she said she wanted to pick up the car tomorrow. So I said, why tomorrow?
Wait, stop. Ms. Smith, why are you saying yes to this? Because the obvious downside for you is exactly what ended up happening here. That's a huge risk for you.
Exactly. I know, Judge Milian, and I know I was wrong, but like I said, she was a friend. I was trying to help her out. I didn't want her to lose her job. She just getting back on her feet. I know it was a big risk. I know that. It was a risk that
and now look at you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
She has a counterclaim against you.
Oh, yeah, I heard about it. So it just teach me a lesson. It would never, ever happen again. Like I said, I'm the type of person, I always trying to help people out.
Don't do it anymore. Just don't do it anymore.
Believe me, going through this for almost 4 years, I have learned my.
So what happens is she can't be a second driver. Why? Tell me again.
She said because she don't have a major credit card. So afterwards.
Well, that's why she can't pay for it, but that has nothing to do with being a second driver.
Right. I didn't learn that until after everything was over.
Why didn't you put yourself as a second driver, Ms. Holland? Did you have a suspended license?
No, I did not. We never discussed me being a second driver, but we did discuss her putting insurance on the car. I asked her to make sure she got insurance on the car.
Oh, you specifically asked her to make sure she got insurance on the car. I thought you were the one who made the reservation and sent it to her. I thought you were the one who made it, picked everything out, picked the car, and then sent it to her for her to pay for it. That's not true? Okay, so did you put insurance on it?
No, I didn't. I talked to the man over the phone, and I told him we would let him know once we picked the car up if we was going to add the insurance.
Okay, well, if you weren't going to add the insurance, let's think this through. Do you have insurance that covers you in this situation?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so did you make a claim against your insurance for the damage to this car?
Yes, I
Because
did.
you ended
They
up having a
denied it.
car
They said,
accident. That's right, because you don't have the kind of insurance that covers the body damage to the car. You just have liability insurance. Now, Ms. Smith, do you have insurance that covers someone else driving a rental car who has no authority to drive it because they're not a second driver? I think the answer to that is no.
No.
So, how wise was
Exactly.
it to rent the car and have it completely, as we say in Spanish, suerte sin vacuna, loose and with no inoculation? Okay? That's kind of reckless because
Yes.
nobody's
I asked
insurance
for
was
her
going
to
to
put
cover it.
insurance on the
Not
car.
the rental company. Oh, we're going to talk about that in a second. Not the rental company, not you, Ms. Smith, and not you, Ms. Holland. So, Ms. Holland, tell me how you told her you insisted that she get insurance on it. Tell me when and how you told her that.
Well, it didn't exactly go the way she said. We were in the vehicle on the way to the airport to pick up the rental car. I said, make sure you get renter's insurance because I knew I
And
wasn't.
now, why didn't you order it when you sent it to her so that she could pay for it? Because you paid for it online, right, Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Did you
I
pay
gave her
for it?
my credit
Right.
card.
You gave it to her. You gave your credit card to her. Like, is there no
No,
end to? Do you watch my show?
I
Do
get
you watch my show?
That's the
Do
thing
you
about it. I
ever?
watch
I've
the
been
show
sitting here
all the
screaming
time.
for 20 years, but I've been saying this stuff for 20 years. What are you doing? You're not only lending your credit to her, then you just give her the credit card.
Because I trusted her, Judge.
Oh, way to go. How'd that work out for you?
I know. Not good at all.
Okay, Miss Holland. So now in the car on the
Yes.
way over there, you say to her, make sure you get insurance. Now you're standing at the counter. And what happens?
She went in on her own. It didn't go quite the way she said. I gave her the reservation number. She never gave me her credit card. She went in with the reservation number and then paid for the rental.
No.
Okay. So you were shocked and appalled to find out that she didn't get insurance when she walked
Well,
in.
yeah, I was shocked that she didn't get insurance. I did ask her to get insurance.
Well, you're the one who rented it. You're the one who did all the, you had to, in order to make that rental, you had to waive the insurance. But let's put a pin in that one moment, and then let's talk about what happens. You have the car for how many days before you total it?
2 or 3. It was on a Saturday. I'm almost sure we rented the vehicle on a Thursday. I went to see my brother. I was in the far right lane coming off the expressway, the exit, and the light, all I remember is my light was turning yellow. Next thing I know, boom, airbags, everything. That's all I can remember from the accident.
Did anybody get charged with the accident?
It was deemed no fault.
The other cars that were damaged, did you rear end them?
Nope. My right front bumper and their driver's side bumper smashed. That's
Okay.
the collision hit in the.
All right. So, Miss Smith, what happens?
She didn't tell me that. She told me, well, she told me a different story. She told me she was getting on the expressway, and for some reason she blanked out. She blacked out. She hit 2 cars, and then a car hit her in the rear.
I was never hit from the back. Never.
Did you black out? Did you tell people you blacked out and lost control?
I said that's all I remember was seeing the light turn yellow.
I'm looking at a text that you wrote
And
to
then
her
the accident.
when you tell her that you had an accident. Was in an accident at hospital. They say I blacked out. Been here for a while, discharging me. I'm so sorry. To which she responds, you had the accident in the rental? And you say yes. And then she says, you know I didn't put no insurance. And you say, I know. And see if your insurance will cover. And I'll take responsibly for everything. She responds, I don't have insurance. And you say, I know you're upset. Let me know when you want to talk. So it sounds from your own words that you know darn well that there was no insurance on this car. So if you're driving a car that you know has no insurance, I guess you better be extra, extra careful, because there was nothing in it for her to do you this favor. You're the one who needed the favor. She does this for you, and you have left her with the rental car company chasing her to get the money. How long ago did this happen?
Almost 4 years. It'll be 4
2017?
years. Yes, April.
Wow.
And they gave her plenty opportunities to pay. 3 years, 3.5 years to pay.
And how much
And the
did she
thing,
pay?
she only paid, I think they said $1,800. But because of the
All
fact
right.
she wasn't paying on time, her interest occurred on it.
Right. And then it just gets bigger and bigger.
And bigger.
And then at some point, she's paying only interest, and you'll never get out from under unless you borrow money from somewhere and then pay them off at a lower interest. And that's why you got to get insurance. If you can't afford to pay off the car, if you crash it, then you got to get insurance. Because what would the insurance have cost? $10? What ends up happening? Finally, budget turns around and they get a judgment against both of you. And then they dip into your bank account and they collect, they garnished $1,245, right?
No, they garnished $1,170. $75 was placed for freezing the account, for holding the account.
From the bank.
And then the
right.
other,
Okay.
yes. And then the other was for court fees.
Okay. And pain and suffering, according to you, because you're suing for $5,000. Now, you, interestingly, Ms. Holland, did they ever catch up with you? Did they garnish your bank account?
Yeah, they've been garnishing me for a little over a month now, over $100 each hit.
They have been garnishing $100. Wait, $100 a what? A week?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, they're taking $100. Okay. Ms. Holland, you had an accident with a car that was under someone else's name. You have ruined that person's credit. You have given them agita for 4 straight years, and you have the nerve to have a counterclaim against her for $5,000. $5,549 are half of the damages because you believe that the nice lady who rented you a car in your time of need should pay half of the damages. On account of what? Why should she pay it? She wouldn't drive in the car when this happened. If it's someone else's fault, go sue that person. She should have gotten insurance. You should have gotten insurance. And you shouldn't be driving a car if you're not sure that it has insurance. And then the rest of it for pain and suffering. On your counterclaim, 0. And on her claim against you, I am not going to award you pain and suffering, my love, because the pain and suffering is not her fault, it's your fault, because you put yourself in this position, okay? So you don't get to collect from her pain and suffering because you did something incredibly irresponsible and stupid by putting this in your name. But you do get to collect the money that you're out.
It was an accident.
You know what? An accident is what happened with the cars. 4 years of ruining her credit is not an accident. $1,245, verdict for the plaintiff, plus your court costs.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
So the plaintiff is going to recover $1,245. Ms. Holland, you really should feel bad about this, but you apparently don't. You were suing her. How do you react to the judge's decision?
I'm just glad it's over. And I did feel bad. I went to my insurance to try to get it covered. They denied it. I made payments when I could. As she stated, I was just getting back on my feet.
Well, it's a shame what happened, the accident, of course. Let me ask you, Ms. Smith, I'm really intrigued to know, obviously you sued her. You've been friends for a long, long time with her. What's happened to your friendship? Has that gone out the window?
Been gone. Yes, from the time she been trying to stiff me with this bill, from day one. But you know, God was on my side, and I just thank Him. Blessing. Thank you.
All right, that'll do it. You're welcome. Don't thank me, thank the judge. Let's see what the judges have to say now.
You've been preaching this sermon for a long time about not renting cars in somebody else's name,
or
right?
buying cars in somebody, or obligating yourself to car
Sticking
payments,
your neck out for credit. And you know, it's interesting. In the law, we have this concept called joint and several liability. And joint and several liability means that when a plaintiff gets a judgment against a group of people, they can fade the risk that someone might not have the money to pay the judgment onto all of the people who are the debtors.
Yeah,
under
they
the
could
judgment.
they could sue person A, they
Right.
could sue person B, they could sue person
Right.
A and B.
And person
they
A
could
might
pin
be-
the whole
right.
thing on A.
Right. So the person who maybe has very little real blame, a small amount of blame, ends up taking all the heat and could end up with the whole judgment, which is, it's unfortunate, but for Ms. Smith, they extracted, what was it, $1,200 or $1,400 out of her hide for this thing, right? So at least she's going to get that back,
Yeah.
right?
So Gabrielle wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, do you remember walking into the courtroom at the People's Court for the first time, and what do you remember most about that moment? I do remember actually really well, and it was way back in the Judge Wapner days, the very first show. And I just remember sitting there thinking, God, I wonder if this show is going to work. Let's see. So we are going into season 25 here, and we had 12 seasons in the first run of the show. So that's 37 years. That's like the entire time that I was living, right? Because I do look 37. So wow, it's been a long run. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case inside the courtroom.
This is the plaintiff, Thomas Schultz. He says he worked for the defendant on his basketball team for 3 days. He's been waiting more than 6 months to be paid for his work and is now suing him for the $105 he's owed. Some people. This is the defendant, Keith Moore. He says the plaintiff was an intern for him for a couple of days, and he gave him intern tasks to do. There was no agreement he was going to be paid, and he has no idea where he's coming up with $35 a day for 3 days. He owes this guy $0. He's accused of committing a real foul.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. Plaintiff says he worked for the defendant's basketball team and he didn't get paid squat and he wants his money. Now, the defendant is saying that the plaintiff was an unpaid intern and unpaid interns don't get paid. It's the case of dribbling his way into court.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Schultz, you are suing Mr. Moore and Moreland Productions, doing business as the Rochester Razor Sharks, because they did not pay you an agreed upon sum when you worked for them. You tell me, what's your story?
So back about, it had to be a little over a year ago now, I was just looking for a little extra cash on the side. I had a full-time job. I just wanted a little something that was not obligation, you know, not like a part-time job. But so I looked on Craigslist for some work. And I've never done Craigslist work before.
Was there a
It's been
particular
mundane.
reason why you were looking for another job?
Yes, I actually was looking to get a little extra money to purchase a rescue dog.
Okay.
Yeah, so I worked. I emailed Keith back and forth about a opportunity to work as a shot clock. A person that worked the shot clock when basketball players shoot. I don't follow basketball much, but I said I'll do really any task necessary. Give me a little bit of learning time.
Where did you see the advertisement?
It was on Craigslist. It was on the gigs section of the local.
Okay. Did you happen to take a screenshot of the advertisement?
I had not taken a screenshot. No.
Let me suggest to everybody within the sound of my voice, whenever you answer an ad on Craigslist or, you know, eBay or whatever it is, always take a screenshot of what you're answering so that there's no wiggle room for the other side on what it was that the deal was. But all right, so you answered the Craigslist, and what kind of work do you perform?
Just some mundane labor tasks, like I would clean up like sweat off the ground for players so they wouldn't slip. I worked the ticket booth a little bit. I even did an ice cream run, and I even recorded half the game. So I really did whatever Keith needed me to do, you know.
And
I did that
according to
first.
you, the agreed upon price was $35 a day, and you worked 3 days and did not get paid. Is that correct?
Precisely.
Okay, so Mr. Moore, what's going on?
Thomas Schultz, we thought was an intern. In the line of work that we do, we have a bunch of interns that need college credit, and he did a bunch of menial tasks that an intern would do. We never knew that he was going to be a paid employee. every employee that we had was already like working in our snack bar. And like he said, he did a bunch of menial tasks.
What do you mean you never
that we
knew?
would-
You mean you were never supposed to pay him?
No, all of our interns, they do work for us so that they can earn college credit to find out if, the
Okay, but
careers that
according
they're
to
doing.
him, you put an ad in Craigslist saying that you were going to pay $35 a day for this job. And according to him, he answered your ad. Are you saying you didn't put the ad?
We had 2 ads up. One was for snack bar help, and the other one was for interns. We thought that he answered the intern ad because he was, a young guy. He looked like he was college age. Never did we ever.
So just
discuss
because he's in
payment.
college, you decided that he was working for free? Are you saying you never
Well-
committed to paying him the money?
You're correct. We thought that he was an intern, that he was just helping us out for college credit for his courses.
Okay, well, did there come a time when you realized that that is not what he was doing?
No, even now, when he did contact us, it just sounded like a rogue intern that was just trying to get compensation as opposed to just the college credit.
Okay, so college boy, can you prove what you're saying?
I can, yes.
How?
So I brought in some evidence of text conversations with Keith and myself, as well as email threads going over the $35 biweekly agreement.
Here is your text. Is this February of this year or last February of 2020, correct?
2020, yes.
This is Tom. My Cash App is blah, 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 blah. And he tells you it's $105. And your answer isn't, what are you talking about? You're an intern, college kid. You're supposed to be, your answer's okay, cool. Then he says, just wanted to give you a gentle reminder of that outstanding 105. And you say, okay, we're trying to get everyone paid off, not you, scammer. And at the end of September, he sends you a text saying, I hope you and your family are doing well. I am contacting you again for the $105. And you say, so sorry for the inconvenience with so many challenges with the state of civilization. What's your preferred method of e-payment? Where are you saying to him that you were a scamming liar and we were never supposed to pay you? Because it sounds like you're the scammer who just wants to nail the college kid. All he wanted was $105 so he can pay the adoption fees for a doggy. Just $105 that you were supposed to pay him, clearly, because I see over and over and over for a whole year, that's what you're telling him you're going to do. So, Mr. Moore, explain how it isn't you who is trying to scam him from his $105.
The entire time I was talking to him, I thought it was another paid employee that worked in our snack bar. I did not know it was Tom. I thought Tom, from the beginning, was an intern.
Well, I guess you got it wrong, because you, if you are a manager, ought to be a little more organized. He answered your ad for $35, and for a year, you're texting back and forth. So I'm not going to hear you say that now, because to me, and the rest of the world watching you, it just sounds like you guys ran out of money and want the college kid to eat it just because he happens to be in college. No, $105, verdict for the plaintiff, plus your court costs, plus prejudgment statutory interest in your state from the time you were supposed to be paid. Good luck. Pay the man.
So the plaintiff does prevail. Mr. Moore, the judge kind of lets you have it there. You got to pay him at least $105, and there are going to be added costs on top of that. Don't you feel a little guilty or not?
Not a bit. The judge didn't realize that he came in as an intern. We never agreed to pay him. This is an atrocity.
An atrocity. Okay. Well, the judge definitely does not agree with you in this case. As she put it, pay the college boy. Okay? Sorry, but that's the way it works out. Mr. Schultz, how do you feel? You feel vindicated a little bit? What are your thoughts?
I'm feeling like over a year in the making, I've been waiting just for some justice, and justice has come and prevailed. And I appreciate the judge's time in this. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Indeed, you deserve it. Good for you.
I'm going to give you some friendly advice, Marilyn. If you ever borrow so much as a stick of gum from Tom Schultz, you best pay him back with a whole pack by sundown, because he is nothing if not persistent.
Good for him.
And squared away. I got to hand it to this young man. he's a hardworking guy. He's working 2 jobs, and he just wanted to get paid. It's only $105. That's
And he
probably
was
just
so
pocket
patient.
change for him.
He
Really.
was so patient the whole time. He was patient. You know, it was a matter of the principle.
And persistent.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, if you're managing a business, management is expected to know who's working for
He knows exactly who's working for him. That is just, he is making up this whole thing about, oh, there were 2 ads at the same time, and I didn't know he had applied for one. It turns out he's in college, so now I'm not going to pay. What is he talking about? From February, over and over, all the texts showed it.
The text messages and the email messages tell the story. He was squared away. They ought to give him a management position.
Exactly. He's more squared away for the Razor Sharks than the defendant
And
was.
he even did something nice with the money that he didn't really get here. With his own money, he went and he brought a rescue dog.
Yeah, he did end up paying the adoption fees for the rescue dog. Yeah, he did.
So Andrea wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, what are the best 3 things to remember before going to court and having your big day? Evidence, evidence, evidence. Evidence is king in court. Bring photos, bring videos, bring documents. Think about not only what you need to do to prove your case, but anticipate what the other side might say and have enough evidence to rebut it. And that will do for this case. Litigants for the next case inside the courtroom.
This is the plaintiff, Swazette Simmons, and her witness, Jason Rouse. Swazette says her dog Chuck was viciously attacked when Jason was walking him on a leash by the defendant's out-of-control pit bull, who is a menace to society. Chuck hasn't been the same since the attack. The defendant owes her $5,000, and she's suing him for it, here in court today. This is the defendant, Ronald. He says his leashed pit bull noticed the plaintiff's unleashed dog, and when he ran over, a fight ensued. The plaintiff wasn't even there that day, and he can't believe she actually has the nerve to sue him for $5,000 when the fight was their dog's fault. He's accused of having vicious propensities.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiffs say their dog Chuck was viciously mauled by the defendant's pit bull, and they want the defendant to pay up. The defendant says no way, that the plaintiff's dog was unleashed and he was the aggressor. It's the case of vicious propensities.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Simmons, apparently, according to you, your dog was attacked by Mr. Ronald's dog. You weren't walking the dog at the time, Mr. Rouse was, so let me first hear from you, Mr. Rouse. What happened?
Yes, I was walking the dog. I was going to the store. I went to the store, and I connected the dog to the fire extinguisher. So when I came out of the store...
Are you referring to the fire hydrant?
Yes.
So you tied the leash to the fire hydrant?
Yes. I went inside the store, and when I came out, I had got my dog, and I had walked across the street to walk home. So I got past a guy at the bus stop, and he was saying something to me, but I had my headphones on. So when I took off my headphones and I asked him what, all of a sudden I seen Mr. Ronnie's dog running across the street, and I heard the cars beeping and stuff, and he was chasing after the dog, and I grabbed my dog close to me. So, you know, when his dog came close enough and jumped on my dog ended up biting his dog, and I'm pulling the leash, trying to, you know, have my dog let go, and I end up falling, and the leash came, you know, out of my hand, and, you know, Mr. Ronnie, he was on the ground with both of the dogs, and they were pulling him inside the grass and stuff, and then I grabbed my dog's back legs, and I lifted him up, and my dog, you know, it just released and came over by me, and you know, he took his dog and ran across the street and went upstairs inside the house.
Mr. Ronald, what do you say happened?
Your Honor, I live over the store, you know, and I've been here, I just moved in this apartment for 2 months, you know. and I never seen this guy before, you know. So all of a sudden, you know, because I have my dog on my leash, and this is
Where are you
what
going?
my
Mr.
dog
Ronald,
is
sit
right
down.
here.
Sit down. Okay.
This is
You had your
what
dog
he
on
wears
that
right
leash?
here. Yes.
Is that
and
what he had on this day when
house.
this happened?
Yes. Yes. You
So he
know,
had a
so-
harness on and he had a
Yes.
leash on.
Yes.
Okay. And what happened?
So, and when he comes with his dog, and I'm telling him, I don't even know this guy. I never even seen him before, you know. So next thing you know, when his dog got right by my dog, they started fighting, you know. So now
Was his dog on a leash?
No, I didn't see no leash, you know, because when he fell.
So his dog
when he
was
fell,
not on,
like he-
just a second. So I want to make sure I understand. His dog is not on a leash and your dog is on the leash and the harness that you just showed me.
Yes, I didn't see no leash, Your Honor. Only thing I know, when he fell, I told him grab his legs, you know, and I'm keep.
Okay,
doing it,
and what were
you know?
what were you doing with your dog? Were you going out for a walk on the leash?
Yes, he was going to the bathroom, you know.
Okay. Ms. Simmons, let me hear from you. Did you ever go? I know you weren't there when it happened, but did you ever go back and talk to anybody?
Well, I got a call from Jason. He was yelling, screaming, and out of breath. I did show up there. When I got there, my dog had blood on him. And I started yelling, "What happened? What happened? Where's the dog that did this?" And Jason pointed, at this time, Jason was in front of the store. Jason pointed up to the upstairs apartment where I seen Ronnie in the window. So I asked him, I said, "Well, can you come down and we can discuss this like adults?" He came downstairs and I explained to him, I said, "That's my baby." I said, "What happened?" And he began explaining to me what happened, how it happened. I actually was recording him, everything that he said.
Oh, you
I
recorded him. Did you submit
I
that
did.
into evidence?
I
Okay.
definitely did.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Staffordshire Terrier.
A pit bull?
Yes.
And you have a pit bull also?
Yes, I have a bull terrier.
Okay.
Your dog is your dog got shot? You got the paperwork?
Look, I was.
Where'd he come from? Here?
That's in the door. Because I stood in the doorway like this.
Uh-huh.
Because every time I come downstairs, I check because.
You don't know who's outside and oh.
But then when he ran across the street, I'm yelling at him, call that.
Okay, here's you saying when he ran across, where is you walking the dog? Let's hear that again. Hold everything.
Look, I was.
Where'd he come from? Here?
That's in the door. Because I stood in the doorway like this.
Uh-huh.
Because every time I come downstairs, I check because.
You don't know who's outside and oh.
But then when he ran across the street, I'm yelling at him, call that.
Wait, okay, did you hear yourself just say when he ran across the street? Did you know she was taping you?
Yes. Yeah.
If you did, why are you lying to me now and telling me you had a harness and a leash? Because I have you on tape saying, oh, the dog ran right across. I was standing here in the doorway and I usually check and then boom, she ran right across. So where's you walking the dog on a harness with a leash? You bold-faced lied to me right now. Miss Simmons, why are you suing for $5,000? You took the dog to the vet because you couldn't get the rabies information and the shots information from him. So a few days later, you take the dog to the vet and you end up getting a rabies shot for the dog, and that's $114. I get that. But you're suing for emotional distress and pain and suffering. Talk to me about that, because that's what makes up the rest of your $5,000.
Well, my dog is my son's service dog, his support dog. I have a son with disabilities, which I did explain that to Ronnie. My dog is not only my dog, but he's been in my family since he's been 8 weeks old. My dog haven't really been right since the attack. He hasn't been able to be my son's emotional support dog because he's been injured, laying around, taking medication, vomiting. He has.
When you say he's injured, tell me how he's injured, because I looked at the vet report and I didn't see an actual injury. So what kind of injury does he have?
Well, he laid around. I mean, I'm assuming he might have been sore because he's older. He's attached to, like, if I go into the bathroom or something, he's right there with me. And if I close the door and don't let him come in the bathroom with me, now he's urinating and he's doing things he don't usually do. He just hasn't really been interacting with my son like he should. He lays in front of the fireplace and he sleeps unless we go in the bathroom, he'll follow us. He don't even really want to go outside. We have a hard time getting him outside to the bathroom and stuff. He's not a
Do
fighter.
you see him in the neighborhood? Do you see Mr. Ronald in the neighborhood?
I rode by one day and he was outside. He takes his dog outside without a leash. He told me my dog don't usually attack dogs. It attacks white people. It don't like white people.
Oh, there we go. All right, Mr. Ronald, what do you have to say for yourself? I've played for you the tapes of you saying point blank that the dog got away from you and ran out the door. So I ask you again, was your dog on a leash when this happened?
No, ma'am.
Well, so why did you lie to me? You're under oath. Why would you do that to these people?
I walk him. I walk my dog with a leash, and at that time, yes, he did. He ran out the door.
But you bold-faced lied to me and told me you had him on a leash when this happened.
I apologize for that, Your Honor.
Miss Simmons, you are certainly entitled to the $114. That is a legitimate expense from what has happened. I am also going to assume, and let me tell you that this is kind of rare, that you're going to have to seek some psychological counseling for your dog, particularly since the dog is a therapy dog for your son. So, Mr. Ronald, I got to tell you, this is probably a first for me on the People's Court, but I really don't like it when people bold-faced mislead me and perjure themselves. So, I'm going to assume there's going to be at least $1,000 in your damages there. And I'm going to order him to pay you $1,000 plus $114 for the rabies shot. Verdict for the plaintiff. Pay the lady.
Well, the judge got rather aggravated at the defendant for lying to her. Bold-faced lie, as she put it. Ronald, what do you think about that? That lie cost you $1,000.
That happens, you know.
Don't you feel bad that you lied on national television to the judge of the People's Court? That's not good,
No,
you know?
I made a mistake.
Yeah, you made a big mistake. Okay. Ms. Simmons, Mr. Rouse, obviously, you know, you're going to get money now to help repay the cost of the vet bills and $1,000 for, hopefully you can get some kind of care for the dog. Are you going to do that?
I am. I am, definitely.
Okay, let's see what the judges have to say now.
It would appear that the plaintiff prevailed here in large part because she had that video.
Are you kidding
She
me?
shot that and she had the audio.
She
and the
is
video.
a
It was a little
smart
shaky
cookie.
But, you know.
But she's a smart cookie. She pressed record. She got him to make all the admissions because she's smart. This is a woman who watches the People's Court.
Apparently. Because she came in with an open and shut case based on the
Now
video.
think about that. Think about how many times we as judges are in court. One side says one thing and another side says another, and you can't decide who's telling the truth, and they just walk out without any.
That's every day. That's almost every
day.
case. He
Every
said,
day.
she said.
Right. And she's in a one-party consent state, and he just looks at me and goes, I guess I was caught.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, Your Honor.
Well, you're getting a lot of hot water in court if you pull that.
Yeah.
And, you know, $1,000 in damages might be the least of your worries.
Yeah, a judge will sit there and,
And contempt can get you locked up, not just fined. And I've seen it happen a number of times.
Barry wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, do you watch any other court shows on television? If so, which ones are good? I gotta say, I like them all. I really do. I think court shows are just really interesting because they teach people something and they also entertain. And that's the best television. We'll see you next time.